Honey, I know for a long time you've kind of hinted at maybe I should talk to a therapist. And I say, I don't have the time to talk to a therapist. But thankfully, Rula has online therapy that's easier to get. It's more accessible and affordable because it's very difficult. We know all about insurance. Insurance isn't the best thing to deal with. So it's difficult to find providers for anything that accept insurance. But guess what? Rula.
Yeah, it's in-network covered care and takes most majority of insurance plans. I mean, also with Rula, you can find the right therapist for you. So Rula partners with a network for over 15,000 therapies, psychiatrists nationwide, enabling you to find your personalized solution and the right therapist for you based on your needs and what you're wanting. Health journey.
Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/fame to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you.
This is RULA.com/fame. You deserve mental health care that works for you, not against your budget.
Get plastic surgery to pull out the eye.
Oh no, that's all God's.
Welcome back to the Fame Game podcast. We are here with a very special, very famous individual. Technically still our neighbor. We just don't have houses to live in, but he still has dirt down the street from us. We welcome to the Fame Game Robert Cabral, who is a true legend. And life is kind of annoying in the sense that you only meet the person that you wish you'd known sooner. I would drive by his house and he always had these signs that would say bad canine. Obviously, now I know it's his brand. I thought he was just trying to deter our incredible home invaders that like to, come into town. Ends up, he's one of the most world-renowned, you can change your bio in my version.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Dog experts, trainers, also from now my, again, knowledge, one of the top people rescuing thousands of dogs, helping dog shelters, and he just lived down our block. And here I am, we get this puppy, and I'm trying to learn how to, be a dog person, and I'm at the park, and he's like, do you know who Robert Cabral is? He lives one of the most famous trainers. Why don't you talk to him? I'm like, oh, who's that? He's like, Bad Canine. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I wave him down and he's like, yeah, come to the park with me. And we just started me coming and watching him do his training. I want to say weeks before the house is burned.
Yeah, maybe a month.
Yeah. So at least we're all reconnecting now, but it is what it is. So what did I mess up on your bio? Is it
nothing? It sounds great. I'm just going to redo my whole bio now. That sounds better. Yeah.
There it is. For anyone, update the Wikipedia. It's a small world. Also, how crazy it is a lot of people have been concerned about my toxic rashes. So we had our blood work done, and I was talking to the blood work guy, and he's like, oh, I just rescued this dog. I said, oh, you got to talk to my former neighbor. And he's like, who's that? And I said, it's Robert. He goes, Robert and I, we used to do martial arts when we were in college together. Ends up they haven't talked in 20 years, and I'm going to connect them. So at least somebody's going to get some training off of that. So
small world, man.
It's a small world.
Really is.
How long have you lived in the Palisades before I actually knew you lived in the Palisades?
I think it's when Janet and I got back together. We got married later, but 2018 or so. I was in Malibu before that since 2000. So we were debating where to go, and Janet had a house right down the street, which was a house. And we moved in together and then got married shortly thereafter.
Did you know Janet was one of his karate students?
No.
Technically not karate. Oh.
No, it's karate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's karate. I started the martial arts program at the Sports Club LA, which is, everywhere in New York and all those other locations. And she started training with me. And the first day I saw her, somebody sent me a message, oh, I need a karate uniform this tall, whatever. And I was like, okay, I got the karate uniform. My name is Janet Brown. I was like, okay, I got it. And I'm in the office with my friend. We were talking about the program, and I hear this knock on the door, and I open the door, and I was like, wow, that's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. And it was Janet. And so I was like, okay, just keep it professional because you're not supposed to date your students and stuff. So, yeah, but we ended up she trained. She was a great student, and then we became, friends, and then we fell in love, and we just dated for a while, and then sadly we broke up after like 7 years, which was the longest relationship I ever had up to that point in my life. And then we were separated for God, was it 20 years? Something like 20 years.
Wow.
And then I guess she was single and I was single, and I was like posting some stuff about my African photography stuff on Instagram. She said, "Oh, I like that picture." And I was like, maybe there's hope, because there's always the one woman that I wanted back. Like, usually you break up with somebody like, I'm glad we're done. And she was always the one that I wanted back. And coincidentally, we got together literally to see my show, which was at the G2 Gallery in Marina del Rey, for my African safari pictures. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to marry you. You're never getting away again. And that's exactly what happened.
Oh, I love that story. It's like The Notebook or something.
Yeah.
That's really reconnect.
Deep love story.
Yeah.
I am sorry I didn't add in your bio, artist, excuse me. So how long have you been doing the photography?
I did photography since I was a high school yearbook photographer. But it's like all my hobbies have become jobs, and it's ruined every one of them. If you really love something, don't make it your job. And which is the exact thing I didn't want to do with dog training. And I really actually shifted it and tried to focus more on advocacy work, working with shelters and educating people, because I find every good hobby, when it turns into a business, becomes tedious. You don't enjoy it as much. And it takes away from it. My martial arts became that way, because here you enjoy doing something. It's your life. It's your mission. And suddenly you're saying, I got to get 2 more students to pay the rent. And it doesn't work. So, it's my advice is always just keep your hobbies and don't make them your jobs.
How did you get into karate?
Well, I came from Germany. We moved here from Germany. We went to New Jersey, and I couldn't speak the language. So I got beat up every day going to and from school. And back in those days, it was not a big deal. You just got beat up. And, you didn't have like bullying laws, and like your parents are just like, okay, we got beat up, but guess we'll put you in karate class. And so it was my first, endeavor into martial arts was that. And then the more I learned in martial arts, and that was starting when I was like 9, 10, 11. And then about 13 to 15 to 16, I got really serious about it. And I would train every single day. And then the more you get into it, the more you can fight, the less likely you are to ever fight. And I've had the smallest handful of fights since I started martial arts. But it was because I was bullied, and I hated it. I hated getting beat up. I got beat up every single day going to and from school.
Oh, man.
Until
Sorry.
you didn't.
Yeah, until I didn't, right?
So
but that kind of led me, when people always ask about the dog training, because you were talking about the rescuing dogs. Every rescue dog I see a piece of me in them, right? So I see the poor one that got abused. I see the dominant one that's misunderstood. I see the neglected one that people don't want to spend their time with. So, when you have those adversities, either you become a victim or you become dominant in it. And my thing was like, you know what? I'm going to make this my strength. And it would help me to better understand dogs and see that, I know what it's like to get beat up. And when I taught karate, I had kids coming in. I was like, yeah, I know what it's like to be you. I don't look like it now, but yeah, I was the kid who ran home crying because my stomach hurt so bad from being punched in the stomach. So that was it. You understand.
Oh, I'm going to cry. So how did you get into dog training? Have you always loved dogs? Have you always had that?
Well, I always loved animals, but the thing with me was it was a job I didn't want to do. I did not want to be a dog trainer. And when I first went, it kind of started back, I was living in Nashville, and I had this dog that I was in love with. And the dog was, it was a Shar-Pei. And I thought to myself, I'm so lucky to have this dog. I always believe in giving back. So I went to the animal shelter, and I'd go to Costco, bring a bag of dog food, drop it at the animal shelter. I did that for weeks. And then finally one day I said, you know what, I should just go in the back and see what it looks like. So I went in the back, and I saw the dogs in kennels, and I was disgusted. I literally had tears in my eyes, and I walked out and I said, something's got to be done about this. So backdating it now a little bit, when I had my karate school, I had a friend of mine, his name was Mike. He was a magician, but he was actually an amateur dog trainer. So he had 2 Dobermans, and I would help him train him. He said, just do this, little tiny things. And when I went to the shelter, I kind of had this connection because of my dog and feeling sorry for dogs. I didn't want dogs to be killed. And I started learning about, I came from this more of an advocacy side, I didn't want to see dogs being killed. And so I'm there, I'm seeing the dogs. I was like, something's got to be done. I ended up moving back to LA, and I kind of took the little dog training that I didn't think I knew, and we started applying it with these dogs in the shelters. I was like, okay, let's get these dogs out. Let's work with them a little bit. Okay, we can lure them to a sit. I mean, everybody knows how to do a sit. Lure them to a down. And I think what really helped me a lot in martial arts, or in dog training, was the martial arts, is understanding timing, reading body language, just having that energy presence, which I think so much with dogs, they focus on our body movement and our energy, not our voices, right? Dogs never speak to each other. They don't go woof, 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 hey, woof, woof, right? It's the way they move their body one way. It's like, okay, that's a fight. Okay, we're friends. So just a slight shift in that. And it's the same in martial arts. Like if you watch one slight shift of a shoulder, okay, a punch is coming. And a slight shift in a dog's mouth or body language, okay, he's going to bite me. And for some reason, very naturally, I started picking that up. And I just built on it. And then my friend, Dr. Lisa, I was bringing her dogs to do health certificates on because we were shipping them, transporting them to rescue them over other states. And she said, who trained these dogs? Because I was rescuing a lot of Shar-Peis, a real dominant breed dogs. And I said, nobody. She goes, well, somebody worked with this dog because this dog is really easy, really nice to work with. I said, I just did a little thing with him. And she said, you should be a dog trainer. And I said, I don't want to be a dog trainer. This is 2008. Because I've been training my dog, but I don't want to train somebody else's dog. And she says, no, you're going to be a dog trainer. And she started sending me all these clients, and I didn't want to do it. And she said, no, you can't say no. These people need you. And I was trained countless dogs. It was an instant business. It was like literally turnkey, and boom, I was in business. I was making a really good living, and I was helping people with their dogs. That was the intriguing part. It wasn't the money part. It was that this was like this dynamic ability to help people with something that seemed so foreign to them and so natural to me. So just fell into it, and I kept doing it. And it's the one and only business really, or hobby that turned into a business, that I didn't resent afterwards, because it was never really about the money to me. I made a really nice living doing it, but I really actually enjoy seeing a dog. I enjoy putting my hands on a dog. I enjoy being in the presence. Like I say, the West LA shelter is one of my favorite places to go, because where can you, I'm going to cry, where could you experience so much love, from creatures that owe you nothing, and they don't know you, but they see you there and they feel you there, and they think, this guy's here to help me. And, I can't think of a better life than to help dogs, which is,
Please tell me you didn't get plastic
amazing.
surgery to pull out the apple.
Oh no, that's all good.
Honey, I know for a long time you've kind of hinted at maybe I should talk to a therapist. And I say, I don't have the time to talk to a therapist. But thankfully, Rula has online therapy that's easier to get. It's more accessible and affordable, because it's very difficult. We know all about insurance. Insurance isn't the best thing to deal with. So it's difficult to find providers for anything that accept insurance. But guess what? Rula.
Yeah, it's in-network covered care and takes most majority of insurance plans. Also with Rula, you can find the right therapist for you. So Rula partners with a network for over 15,000 therapies, psychiatrists nationwide, enabling you to find your personalized solution and the right therapist for you based on your needs and what you're wanting. And they do the end-to-end care, which is so great. And they're really going to be with you through the entire process, beginning to end, to make sure that they're helping you find the therapist and the psychiatrist that you need in every step of the way on your mental health journey.
Making sure to help schedule your appointments, monitoring your progress. Rula is there to help.
I think a lot of people are really overwhelmed with where do they start with mental health? How do they find somebody? How do they afford somebody? It's a really hard process, but thankfully there is Rula.com. And Rula really makes it easy for people to be able to narrow it down, to find the right psychiatrist that can help them through their journey, support them. And it would have been really helpful for us to have that after the fires, and for other victims from the fires and anyone who is just needing help with mental health, because it is something that a lot of people suffer from. So thankfully, Rula can help people find the help that they're needing and wanting and be able to afford it. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/fame to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you. This is RULA.com/fame. You deserve mental health care that works for you, not against your budget.
Well, speaking of shelters and West LA shelters, because I've been following recently, you've been really not happy with the system. Like you keep on honing in that the people at these shelters are good people.
Yeah.
Maybe not the people you're interacting, maybe not
Great
the
people.
bureaucracy, but the people in these shelters are great people. What is broken with the system, and how can they, in your vision, fix it where these dogs aren't just being killed? I know you said it starts before they get to the shelter,
right? Which
is the bigger mission. So maybe we go backwards. How do we stop dogs from ending up in shelter? You know, from your...
Well, I mean, everything is speculative, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm looking at it with 20 years of experience, but I can tell you that, first of all, there's a couple components. People are very irresponsible, right? They're very entitled and self-righteous. In other words, nothing is their fault. There's something wrong with the dog. It's not like, oh, I'm weak with the dog. I'm not going to train my dog. And I'm getting more and more dominant dogs. People are getting Cane Corsos, Pit Bulls, Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, very dominant dogs. And they don't understand why this dog doesn't listen to them like they're Labrador or Labradoodle, right? So we have a lot of egos in the picture. Everybody wants a powerful dog, but nobody wants to do the work to do it, to get it, right? Everybody wants to be in good shape, but nobody wants to go to the gym to work out. They want to blame everything else. So that's a big, big component. The second thing is people are breeding dogs ad nauseum. There's just every single place, because it's a quick buck. Somebody lives in a poor neighborhood. They get 2 dogs. They put them together. They get dogs. They can sell them for $300 a piece. So that's $3,000 like that, right? And nobody's questioning it. So animal control, which is in theory what a shelter is supposed to be. A municipal animal shelter is animal control, which means their job is to go out and enforce the animal code. So in a lot of cities and municipalities, animal control is run by the police department. It's either run by the police department or the health department. And Ventura, for example, is run by the health department. LA has it's a separate entity in LA City and LA County. But because it's not doing its job as a control agency, they're now functioning as a humane society, right? So people can't keep their dog, just put it in the shelter. And that's the society we live in, right? Whether it's through social media, and this is why I've taken a presence in social media, to make this knowledge available, that just because you see a dog doing funny tricks and being well behaved on social media in a 60-second reel, there is countless hours and takes to get to that part, which is why I like to show it not working with dogs. You know, the stuff I show in my lessons shows it not working. But when you have animal control functioning as a humane society, people are dumping dogs. We're never enforcing. In other words, we're trying to pull dogs out of the bottom of the funnel, but there's just so many more going into the top. And unless we stop that, we're going to keep killing dogs forever.
The social media factor, because I was thinking when you started in 2008, back then the only dog trainer that we knew of was Caesar Milan. And now that I'm so obsessed with dog training and dog this, my feed is just, the entire planet is a dog trainer now, and everyone's an expert, and everyone. So, and they don't show any of those hours they put in. They just make it look like, you know, the dog's doing this. And I'm like, and I end up falling for all of it too, because I'm like, they must be legit. Look at that dog. So it's an interesting thing that, for beyond just the dog training and like getting wrong information, it's also putting out a wrong version of how hard these animals are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to look at the most common dog now on social media, from what I'm seeing, besides mini dachshunds, is Belgian Malinois. And a Belgian Malinois is a very, very serious dog. And people always say, you say that because you're a trainer and you think you're tough. I don't think I'm tough. I don't think I'm tough at all. And I've had very, very nice dogs. Both my dog Goofy, who you met, and Shmoo have been very, very well-bred, good temperamented dogs. Very opposite dogs. But I can tell you, both of them had an edge that pushed to the certain position, they would bite, and they would bite seriously. A dog like Janet's dog, Dwayne, who we absolutely love, that's the most perfect dog. Well-bred Labrador. She's done hundreds and hundreds of hours of work with him, but he's completely bulletproof. Like anybody could meet him, anybody can play with him. You can do whatever you want with him. Take him to the vet. Oh, we got to examine him. No problems. My dog, yeah, not so much.
So our friends, fellow fire victims, I hope to have them on the podcast. The Gellers, somebody they knew just had a issue, and they ended up this happened last week. It's out of a movie scene. They had 3 Malinois puppies and the mom, and they're at their house, and she's trying to like find homes for them. I'm like, nobody even gets what these are. They're literally like little nuclear weapons.
Right.
And the one, it's in a 6-foot, fence up thing, and the son's videoing. It's just boom, up out the gate, and so even in this high thing, you think you're crazy. So that's the thing. People see they look like the cutest things you ever seen in your life, but if you don't watch just this extra footage of and that was one of the best things that you came into our lives, because we were going to keep our puppy that we still have living with her trainer, and you were like, do not take this dog until it's fully trained. This is not, and it was hard because it's so cute. And we were like,
I was terrifying. That dog was terrifying. There's a little velociraptor. It's eating everything. I'm like, Spencer, go get the dog. I'm dealing with 2 kids, 2 other little dogs at the time. I was definitely terrified.
Good you validated
It was good confirmation, because I was like, no.
Because it is,
this is not.
Well, but remember,
so like
a great example with a dog like a Malinois Dutch Shepherd, a working line German Shepherd. This dog is genetically bred to work through things, right? So I'll give you an example. Janet and I were just at agility with our dogs. And this is a very easy thing for people to understand. And there's a tunnel there. And I'm telling the dog, go to the weave poles. Shmoo, my dog. And he goes to the tunnel. And so the trainer says, well, I'm going to put a little piece of, like a chair in front of it, right? Well, I say, weave poles. And he goes, boom, busts through, goes to the tunnel. She puts 2 chairs in front of it. Boom, busts through both chairs. And then she stands there. So he goes around it, because this is his thing is, if I think I'm supposed to go to the tunnel, I'm going to break through whatever is there, right? Now, in training, a bad trainer is going to punish the dog, physically hurt the dog and say, don't do that, which then it sends a message like the person who is supposed to direct me is directing me to do something, because obviously he thinks he's supposed to be doing it, and now it hurts to do it. Now you have a dog that has conflict, and conflict in training is the death of all relationships, right? Whether it's our human relationships or anything. So we had to figure out a way to get him to do what we want him to do without it being conflicting to him, right? So the easy solution is I have a relationship with him. I get him to come focus back on me, comes back, he does what we want him to do. We throw an abundant reward. We don't reward him for bad things, but we need to be physically and tactile with the dog so that we can correct those things. And it's not something that's easily done with a younger dog, like let's say a dog from 6 months to 18 months. It's very hard, because first thing they do, they turn and they bite. When you grab them by the collar, hey, don't do that, which is a physical movement, which any other dog would do. We can grab him, hey, don't do that. Boom, he bites. Now we smack him for biting us. Well, that's a bad signal, right? We need to kind of clear up communication, and you have a good trainer working with your puppy. So why would you try to take that over, and then have this conflict? You guys have kids in the house, kids run, kids scream. That to them is like, oh, I get to go chase the kids. Right. Now it's a conflict. The kids are afraid of the dog. The dog you have now is bulletproof. It's a great dog.
Even then, it's been a great lesson for our kids, because it's this balance of like, he looks kind of like a little dinosaur, and we're like, my son loves Jurassic Park. I'm like, this is a velociraptor.
Yep.
How do you approach a velociraptor? Would you grab a velociraptor's tail? So it's almost a good thing. It's been a lot stressful, because, we've learned you can't let that dog, have your 2-year-old feed the dog a tree.
Right. Yeah.
So now we want to feed him. He goes in his crate and he sticks him through like you feed a velociraptor.
Yeah.
Because he eats your hand. He doesn't know.
Sure.
But it's
not necessarily in an aggressive way, right?
Just
not even.
He doesn't even know he's.
It's just normal for him.
It's just.
And that's what people don't understand with a dog. Like a dog is doing something naturally. Naturally, dogs communicate with their mouths. When they play, they grab each other by the side of the neck and they throw each other on the ground. They stand on top of each other. Right? So we see that differently. Now, there's bad trainers out there who go, oh, I train a dog like a dog. I communicate with him. I bite him on the neck. And I'm like, well, unless you can lick your own butt. Like he sees that as very confusing, right? Because we need to communicate with him. Like there's a great book written called The Philosopher and the Wolf. You should read it. You'll love it. And it was this guy who had this wolf dog, and he really talked about how we are the ape, the gorilla. And those two are seen very differently. Like if you watch gorillas in Africa, the way they interact with each other and the way they would interact with a quadruped, a four-legged animal. It's very different. And our communication with them has to be something that's clear to them. They understand the difference between us and them. So if we're on the floor on all fours and growling at them and like pretending to bite them and doing stupid nonsense like that, we're really putting ourselves at risk and the dog at risk. Because every time we do something stupid with a dog, the dog pays the ultimate price, right? How many people drop the dog off at the shelter, say, I don't want him anymore. They turn around, they get in their car, they go to In-N-Out Burger, they go home, they watch TV, they turn off the TV. The next day, they forgot about the dog. That dog is suffering, languishing in that, concrete floor, steel bars, wondering, when is he coming back? I know he's coming back. I love him. I would never leave him. When did he come back? And pining for that person. And eventually the dog is dead in a barrel, and these people are off to their, maybe another dog or maybe just, on a vacation in Spain. They don't care.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had to give up a dog, or I didn't have to, but I chose to give up a dog when I was 20, and I found it the best home ever. It was my friend's parents, and this dog ended up poolside, hand-fed every day, and it seems like that's a good alternative for some people. Like maybe there is a different route than shelters, but I really commend you on doing that because it's a hard, heartfelt position that you're putting yourself in, and thank you so much for your service for those dogs and for people, because we are huge dog lovers, and separately, and then as we came together, so a dog was actually such a bonding part of our relationship. He had this golden retriever and he would sleep with us, and it immediately kind of made us this little family with the dog's love and kind of interacting with him, and that dog was like a part of our lives and everything. So where did Bad Canine come from? I have to know, staring at the shirt.
It's a funny story.
The story.
There was a guy named Tom. He lived in Malibu, and he wanted to do a reality show based on what I was doing in the shelters and all this stuff. And he said, he goes, he went with the shelter and he saw how I handle the dogs. I said, there's only one bad dog, and that's me. Because everybody says, oh, that's a bad dog. That's a bad dog. I said, there are no bad dogs. I'm the bad dog. And there's other trainers who've knocked that off. But so I got the license plate Bad Canine, and he said it's going to be the show Bad Dog. And, we're going to go to the shelter, we're going to follow you around, and we're going to do all the saving dogs, which was a great idea, but it didn't work out. I wasn't a trainer to do a reality show, and I'm glad it never happened because it gives me my anonymity. But yeah, it was supposed to be a reality show based on saving dogs in shelters.
It is so funny. I remember every day driving down to school with the kids or whatever and passing your license plate, Bad Canine. And I would say to Spencer once, I'm like, do you think he likes dogs, or do you think he does something with dogs? Or the whole thing was always so funny. And then finally we found out, but it was such a fun.
It was supposed to be bad, like Michael Jackson bad for people who, that doesn't predate a lot of people, but
We never, it's weird, the dogs were invisible until I knew you were the dog guy, for years we drove by and never saw the dog. And then right when I knew you were the dog.
7 years.
Then the dog started showing. I was like, wow, once it was some. I'm like, what the ring? Did he just get a dog for the first time?
Yeah.
But how, so to make it, dumb it down for our viewers and our listeners. First off, people need to stop getting dogs that they can't handle and doing that. We need to stop just crazy breeding. You had talked to me about this idea of, if all these dogs that people bought were chipped, people are like, oh, then the government will have us, our dogs chipped. But that could be some accountability if people are just dropping dogs on freeways, and then that's a felony now. And so, there is logic to that. And what's the idea of, what do they get? If you think you're worried about the dog tracking, you're holding an iPhone. If the government wants to get you, they're going to get you
Well, the government's going to get you no matter what.
Yeah,
They want
they
to
don't
get you.
need to go through your dog.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with it was you've got to get animal control to start enforcing animal codes. That means, okay, you're allowed to have 3 dogs. That's the rule. You're not allowed to breed dogs if you have a breeder's license, whatever. Here's the thing. Most people should just make educated decisions, right? And that's what's been my mission through social media, because it's the one time now where we have a voice, right? We, the common person, can now speak up against a really crappy government or a crappy system or crappy people or whatever. It gives us that power for once in our hands. And that's why I continue to do it. So if people would be educated and say, okay, what can I handle? Like, what kind of dog can I handle? The average person is really well suited with a golden retriever, right? Because it's an easy dog. Yeah. It's a nice dog, a Labradoodle. It's a nice dog. That's the dog that's going to stay with them for life. The Dutch Shepherd, the Malinois, the German Shepherd, the Pit Bull, the Cane Corso, the Presa Canario, those dogs, oh, I'm tough. I've got this dog. You're not tough. You're still a wimp, right? You know, and that's what people don't get, but they equate that with making them tough. And that's the dog that's going to either kill another dog, hurt another person, bite another person, or become so much to handle that you're going to give the dog up in the shelter. Just go to a shelter now. You'll see it's pit bulls and shepherds, right? So you can see that people can't handle that. The other side of it, you have people who are these purely positive trainers. Now, my wife is a positive trainer, but she's a very, very good trainer. Like if I watch somebody, I mean, I've seen a lot of dog trainers work. I've never lived with a dog trainer, but watching her work, she has an immense amount of patience. That wouldn't work with a dog like Shmoo alone. But every single dog she's had, from a mini dachshund to the Labradors, they've been perfectly trained, and she's put master's titles on them. When you have purely positive people saying, if you ever give a dog a correction, you're an abuser. If you use an e-collar, you're an abuser. If you use a slip lead, you're an abuser. If you use a correction on a dog, you're an abuser. Now, people start to believe what they see on social media. So they go, oh, you don't ever have to give a dog a correction. You can put him on a harness and a long line, and imagine your dog, if he wasn't trained, on a long line and a harness and trying to reel him back in. Never would happen. But people believe that. So right now, I did a program at the LA City Shelter for, I think it was 6 years or more. And in that program, because of all these animal rights people, you're not allowed to use a prong collar, an e-collar, or any other correction tool. So they said, can you do it? Yeah, I can do it. I'm 200 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm very, very strong, and I'm very confident, and I can read it. I could put a long line on any dog and use it. But give Heidi that dog. Give my wife that dog. Give the average person that dog, and that dog is going to be out of control, right? So people are lied to saying, oh, you can do it with any dog, but you can't. Mm-hmm. So then they go, oh, well, it was like the pit bull lie. Everybody says, oh, pit bulls are great dogs. They're not, right? They can be great dogs, and they cannot be great dogs. There's no one thing that you can say is always good. You can't say all Christians are good, or all Jews are good, or all Muslims are good, or all this is good. There's always 1 or 2 bad apples in every category. But when you lie to people and say, you can do this with purely positive training, every pit bull is a great dog, and then it doesn't work out for you, then you go, well, I got the wrong dog. Let me put him in a shelter and try with another one. Then they try with a second one. Then that doesn't work out. Then they try with a third one. Now you've got 3 dogs in a shelter, right? Because that person believed the lie. One, you got to pick the dog that's right for you. Don't go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist to buy a dog. Ask somebody, hey, Spencer, where'd you get your dog? Oh, I got him from Gold Coast. Okay, well, maybe I should go there and investigate. Hey, Robert, where'd you get your dog? Oh, this and this breeder. Well, I should go there and investigate. With all this power we have on social media, that people are looking at an ad on Craigslist or even an ad on Google and buying a dog because it's a really nice site, and these dogs are AKC papered. AKC paper means nothing, right? A good breeder goes so far beyond the AKC papers, and you're going to spend money on that dog. You might spend $1,000, you might spend $3,500 on that dog, but this is an investment for life.
Yeah, so, or you're going to get a cheap dog and end up killing it. You know,
yeah.
So that you're like, oh, you got a deal, but then you can't handle that dog. Now you're murdering a dog,
right?
And going to in and out.
And then the flip side of it is there's great dogs that are rescue dogs, right? Like Janet rescued Bozman, and I rescued a dog named Boots. And honestly, Boz, her mini dachshund, was one of the nicest dogs in the world, right? And he was a rescue. But one, she got the dog that she could handle. right? And she did an immense amount of work in training the dog, which is what it takes to get a dog to work. But just to get a dog and think it's going to happen and not put any commitment to it, any time into it, any work into it, it's problematic.
Well, just the prong collar alone, there's been a time where we had the prong collar on, and if I'd had a regular leash, like something happened or whatever, and he he's 80 pounds, all muscle, he just yanked back, and if it was a normal collar, he'd have been in the street and we got hit by a car.
100%.
Not even a maybe, but he
100%.
stopped himself when he realized. And then back to your thing with a regular leash this morning, with the prong collar, the dog almost ripped Heidi's whole shoulder out when he just went to the left on something. I'm gonna look at the left, but it's like a tank moving.
Because the dog's impervious to pain, right? That dog is not, a little pop on a prong collar or a bump on an electric collar is going to do nothing for that dog.
Nothing. And then so like initially when I got the dog and I wanted to post it, and people were in my comment section about the e-collar, and I messaged the place I got it from, and he's like, and he had a great quote. He's like, if you're going to respond to idiots all day long in your comment section, you got other things to worry about, like in general. And it made me rethink, nobody could handle my dog without he wants to be on the e-collar.
Yeah.
He was trained in Europe. This is how he's conditioned, and it doesn't hurt.
Does it hurt you when I paid you?
No, it's literally does not.
Right.
It's
a
I'm
message.
with him enough where I would know, what hurts him? Not getting to go out the door with us. Emotionally, you can see like, I'm not coming with you, but so.
I had that for our little dogs. We had like the one for them, and they used to fight each other, because they were little. And I was like, I got to get this under control.
Right.
We need to get a trainer here. We had this one, and it saved all of them from.
They're trying to bite each other's eyes
from
out.
fighting.
Yeah.
They got into a So, anyways, I think that whatever is best for the dog is important. And the prong collars, I even used them on my little dogs when they were little, the smaller ones, for them, because they would lunge at other dogs and be really aggressive. But I think there is a misconception, and I use the prong collar or the shock collar on myself.
Sure.
So I was like, let me see what it's like.
Watching Heidi test it was...
Yeah.
Janet put it on me. The first time I showed her, I said, put it on me. And I said, but don't turn it over 3.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And this was in the backyard. Remember that? And the real estate agents next door showing a house. And I'm out there in shorts with nothing, with an e-collar. I said, just,
she's shocking you.
and I said, don't turn it above 3. I just want you to see how it works. She goes, okay. And she's doing, I go, okay, yeah, I'll do this. Okay, I'll do this. I'll do this. All of a sudden, I'm like, wow. And she goes, I just want to see what 5 look like.
Oh my
There's different ones though. Because like
For
5
sure.
on 1.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like our dog, 5 he wouldn't even look at you.
No. But the thing is too, depending, like that's why it goes from 1 to 100, right? So some dogs respond on a 3 or a 5 or a 10. Some dogs don't respond to a 70 or an 80. It depends on the dog, and people respond differently. Like Janet's much tougher than me on an e-collar. Like she can handle it. She'll put it on her arm to test it. I can't do it. Like I have a real aversion to it. So, but the bottom line is with any of those tools is, why are we and laws like in Germany, France, England, they're illegalizing these collars. You go to jail and a €5,000 fine for having this on your dog.
Well, in England now, allegedly, you repost something on Facebook, you go to prison for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Yeah.
It's just so unfortunate because like our dog came from Europe, and that's where he was trained, and that's where it seems like such a Olympic sport, and there's such a misconception about bite work. Even with myself, I didn't have any idea what it was. It's actually playing for the dog, and these dogs are so smart. It's fun for them. They don't think I'm this mean dog and I'm attacking. It's like it's literally like throwing a stick for them. They are fetching it. It is fun for them. It's exciting. They're smart. They get it. They love these mazes and puzzles, and it helps them. And it's what they're bred for. It's what they're meant for. So you take away those tools that they need to exist, to be happy, to thrive, to be these animals that we need and that they're created to be, are these tools. And it is what it is.
But don't think they don't use them, right? Don't think Europe is not using e-collars.
Oh, yeah, now
right?
they're risking a fine.
Yeah, it's just you're risking a fine. So now you have to do it in secret, right? And that's the whole problem with it is. And if they illegalize e-collars here, I can train a dog without an e-collar, but I would still use one. Right, I just wouldn't show people I'm using it, which now you have a problem because now what they'll do in these territories where it's illegal, so they have to take the dog behind the barn, boom, hit them hard on it, and then bring them out, and they have to risk, okay, so are you videotaping this? And it's stupid, right? So it's going to just foster more abuse on animals, right? Or neglect. And the biggest neglect go pull the records from LA Animal Services. I've pulled them for 5 years. There's like, I think, 50 or 70,000 violations on there. There was not one with an e-collar, not one with a prong collar. Every single one, I would say 90%, was neglect. Dogs living in bad conditions, underfed, mange, all these things. That's true abuse. Neglect is the greatest form of abuse we can give to any living creature.
My new favorite content, not my favorite, but I'm loving these people that are going around Los Angeles, and there's one guys that I love that just take the dogs from the people that are smoking fentanyl or whatever, and they're just these poor dogs, and they just come and grab the dogs and they take them and they go give them, rescue them. And then the other ones, for the more or less severe, they come and they go, hey, can I feed your dog?
Yeah.
And they pop the trunk and they give.
Nice.
But you just watch what's going on. Like, so we're worrying about e-cars when you go drive around all of LA and you have actual homeless drug addicts with these dogs. Yeah. And clearly they can't even take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And now we have these dogs living on the street with them. So
this happened at Gunner's school right before we left. I had to call the cops because there was a homeless guy in front of the school. The school was being dismissed. There were hundreds of kids coming out, and there was a homeless guy with one of these dogs.
Like a Malinois.
Yeah, standing there. And the cops came and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm training my dog. I'm like, he is homeless, dangerous, and there are hundreds of little kids here. That was one of my last straws.
Yeah.
I was so fed up with LA and all of this
We're fed
craziness.
Up with it too. It's insane.
It's infuriating because we all want to be here and live here.
It's the most beautiful place that's gotten ruined by bad policies.
Right.
And that is why people keep asking me, just move. I'm like, you obviously don't live here.
Right.
Besides the people destroying it, it's the best place.
Yeah.
Like, and I've been a lot of places.
Yeah, me too.
So I would rather do my best to fight these people with words. Let's be clear. Words on social media.
And truth?
Non-hate words. Excuse me, SB771, because they
Right,
make it a hate word. Now they'll delete my account. But before we end, I just want to go to January 7th. Yeah. Because we didn't connect, and I just want to wrap it up on just where your mind was and what happened, and
oh man, it's the one of the worst experiences of my life, because every bad experience I've ever had in my life was culminated through that experience. And I remember, we were hearing things and whatever, and all these, Janet was getting these dings, the fire's here, the fire's there, the fire's here. And I kept saying, I said, Janet, we live in Los Angeles. We live in one of the nicest areas. If there's a problem, you're going to see fire trucks going up and down the street. I mean, that's obvious. We have a fire station, about a mile away. And she, said, well, you know what, I'm going to go to the hotel. I'm going to get a hotel for the night. And I said, well, I'll stay here. And she took Dwayne and left. And I was there and I heard, these dings, these alarms and everything. And then I was like, I smelled smoke. And I'm like, I just don't see a fire truck. Like, I mean, maybe it's just blowing up. And then I was going up and down the stairs. So I was starting to feel weak going up and down the stairs. I was like, it's kind of bad. So I put some things in the car. And then I went, I looked outside. It was kind of looking gloomy. And I put a couple more things in the car, and then the smoke was getting worse. But I said, well, I still have not seen a fire truck. Like, this is insane to me.
What time is this?
This is probably around, 5:36 or so? Yeah, 5:30 or 6, And I was just doing some stupid work on the computer. So I put 2 bags of stuff. I didn't even take a second pair of shoes, nothing. Because I was like, well, we're going to head out. There'll be some smoke damage. We'll come back. So I get in the car and I drive down Chautauqua, and I went past that first street on the left where Freddie lives, right? And I looked and I see the flames coming, and I heard the flames coming down from your place down towards, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I said, I'm going to go back and get a couple more things in case we're evacuated longer, right? And I turned around and I heard the trees going and the transformers going, and I was like, if I go in there, the smoke's going to kill my dog. And so I drove down the street, and I'll tell you, we lost a lot of precious things. Not money, right? It's not about money. People always say, oh, you got insurance. It's not something you can replace. The urn from my mother was in the house. I didn't grab that. I went back there 5 different days, digging with my hands, trying to find the urn of my mother's ashes. Little boxes from our dogs' collars, all the dogs that had died. I always said, this box I want buried with me. It's all my dogs' collars. Gone. Every picture, like you said something in one of your interviews, every picture that's not digitized gone. All my childhood pictures. Every little memento from my mom, my dad's flag, he was in the Air Force, his bullet shells from the 21 gun salute, gone. And just, I mean, I told you, I can't come up here. I come up here. It just makes me, it depresses me. And like you said, it makes you angry. I get the anger, I get the anger. But it's like, I'm at this point where I'm like, your government doesn't care about you. I really feel, it's what I love. I mean, we were friends way before I followed you on social. I had no idea who you guys were. Janet told me. I was like, it's just a cool guy. And your content really is opening people's eyes to the lies that are out there, that people shouldn't trust. Maybe some politicians are good. You've had some good politicians that you've talked to, but for the most part, I don't believe it. I don't believe these politicians. I don't think they care about us because they didn't care enough to have a fire department. They know how many people live in these areas, and they're all about, helping homeless and helping this and helping that, which is great. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. But people who are paying millions of dollars in taxes can't have a second fire station, or they know there's been natural fires. This whole global warming thing. I mean, okay, there is climate change. There's been climate change for 1 billion years, right? But to say that, to blame it, to be that ignorant and to say, oh, this is climate change. And if you really believed that, then you would have done something to prevent it. You'd say, wow, we're dealing with climate change. Let's clear the brush because that's important. Let's put some extra fire. They know this, but they don't. They don't care. And they take your taxes, your millions of dollars in taxes, and we all pay a lot of taxes, and they just squander it. So I'm so proud of you for doing that, for being a young guy who really cares about the future of our community and the future of the country, because a lot of people aren't doing it. They're just dropping and saying, well, whatever. And it's not, well, whatever, because you got kids, and your kids are going to grow up in this society. And when you speak up and then people make you the evil for it, they're the evil because they're afraid of you. They're afraid of people speaking the truth, which is why they have that SB, what is it, SB
771.
771. Yeah. So I don't like what you say, click, turn you off.
Yeah.
Hate speech.
Hate speech.
Last time I checked, we had freedom of speech, which even if it's hate speech, as long as it's not inciting violence, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah. It's sad that the era of freedom of speech is really dwindling and has been, and slowly being turned off and turned down, and calling it cancel culture or whatever they don't like, and that's not in their agenda and mainstream. And but we're so sorry for your loss.
Well, I'm sorry for you guys too.
Everything.
You guys are young with kids. It must have been harder for you guys with the kids. We had our dogs, and we're very devastated by it. And we share the grief of every single person. And God bless those people who lost their lives. I never even heard of that till you brought it up. I said, Janet, did anybody die? She goes, I don't know. And I saw you, I'm like, why was that never in one homeless guy dies and it's on the front page of the news.
Right.
But 12 senior citizens burned to death in one of the nicest cities. This is the last nice city in Southern California, right? Destroyed. Because, if you don't call it neglect, then I'm sorry, you and I don't see things the same way.
That's why I just stopped arguing with people. I just block them.
Yeah.
They start talking about 100 miles per hour wind. I go, okay, great. Even though there weren't.
Right.
They had 6 hours of no winds, but they had no water. And here's what the fact that we had this reservoir was empty, that's, again, my fault as a citizen.
For sure.
To assume that LA, I'm paying all this money and they have this empty, that one, and the other one empty. Just that alone. So you can argue about the winds, but again, there was no winds more than 30 miles per hour. Yeah. I was here all day long, 10 a.m. till I guess 6 o'clock.
Me too.
You could have been dropping. I called, Heidi told me to call the fire department. I'll say this for the rest of my life. They said, oh, we have no assets. One fire truck would have stopped it coming because it came around here and it's not that big of a space.
Right.
And there's supposedly that big water thing that did have water in it next to the reservoir. So you just put water on the side? No. So then it takes all these houses out.
Yeah.
I just had to know if we called them, and I wouldn't want to feel that way for the rest of my life. What if we had called the firemen, or what if we had called 911? I was like, please, as I was driving away and I saw these huge flames, I was like, just call them.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did. Because we have no assets available. I'm like,
that's insane. But think about it. We have 2 fire stations essentially, right? Or 3. Or is it?
I mean, at this point, it's 5 o'clock at night. There should be 3,000 firefighters.
You would think so, right?
We live in one of the biggest cities
But we didn't hear one siren all day.
Neither did we.
That's the scary part. I was like, if it's such an
Not a
emergency,
police.
we would hear all these sirens.
Not one sheriff.
Nothing.
And we did ask about the water all the time because we were up there with our kids almost every single day. And we were watching them fix it. And they said, we're fixing it. We're fixing it. We saw them do a water test recently. And they made it sound like we had water in it.
Yeah.
We saw the water running down all the time. The kids would play in the water. We'd make little streams. So we were asking about the water constantly, especially every time we saw the firemen up there, which was monthly. So it's not that we weren't concerned and asking those questions, because we were. Our kids were.
I mean, just now, who I am now, I would have been making videos every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Knocking on the LADWP. When's the water? You know, now I get what you have to do to make sure the things you're paying for with your taxes are even done, because nobody, if you assumed because you send that check to the state and the Fed that they care past that dollar, but
we do need to do
on a
that
positive
now.
note, are you still doing the YouTube channel? Or
YouTube,
so
Facebook.
What are all the? Because I feel like I've learned more just from your IG reel, but I need to. You got the YouTube channel. Everything's bad K9.
No, it's all Robert Cabral. If you look at just Robert Cabral dogs, Robert Cabral anywhere.
How do you
see
spell
it.
the last name?
Cabral.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's tons. I mean, I've got a membership section, but honestly, it's free everywhere. YouTube, Facebook has tons of videos. YouTube has, I think, over 1,000 videos that you can just edit. If you just watch that, it's all you need, really.
And then final note, what could Karen Bass do, from your opinion, with what is the government's missing role in killing the dogs?
Well, they need to get somebody who's the head of LA Animal Services. They have not had a head of animal services. They appointed, when Brenda Barnett quit or retired, they appointed one person, Stacey Daines, I think her name was, and she was in there. She literally, it was like a Jimmy Hoffa thing. She just disappeared. She was literally gone. And I sent her an email, hey, I'm happy to help you. They need to appoint a general manager of LA Animal Services who knows how to make the system work, and they need to fund it because it's an underfunded department. It's less than 1% of the city's budget, and they're constantly cutting. What they do is they cut a little bit and then they give back, so it's back where it was, which is just under where it should be. There's no, there's no expansion. And I got to say this: if you hear nothing else I say, the people who work in the shelters and the volunteers are angels on this earth, because they go in there and do stuff I could not do. Every day they're in there playing with these dogs, feeding these dogs, training, working with these dogs, loving these dogs like they were never loved in their life. And then they come in on Tuesday. What happened to Spot? Oh, he got killed. He's in the barrel in the back. I couldn't live with myself. And I remember when I worked in the shelters and that happened, I was literally like on the verge of depression. These people are trying their best. The volunteers and the employees are the only thing who keep this from being the biggest disaster in the world, which it is already. But there's no money, there's no leadership, which goes into everything under, Karen Bass has been a disaster.
Well,
Left and right.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So much.
And we
we miss you.
Yeah. You're one of my favorite things to drive by. It was like it was
Spencer, he was so excited to have you be our neighbor too. And
we're still now I'm more energetically connected because I got a similar dog to your frequency, so at least I can cosplay of your but it's no joke. I keep telling Heidi, like, this is not like what it looks like on IG.
Right. No.
You can't watch a movie. You can't. He wants.
It's a full-time job.
It's like, and you don't want to just put him in his crate because then it's like, why have it? So you're just.
No, you're doing great with him. I'm watching your stuff. It's really great. More people should do that if they have a dog like that.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
5-star reviews,
Make sure,
please. Share it.
And share, likes, comments. Please buy Spencer's book and stream our music. Thank you.